Previously on the Beam Chronicles.
Actually, I was kind of hoping you could help me out. Not like my personal trainer or whatever, just a workout buddy maybe.
You aren't trying your best, you're barely even trying. And you need to hear this part, so let it rattle around your thick skull before you open your mouth. It's going to get you killed.
Maybe I don't buy into the rhetoric of this place. Maybe I thought by now I'd be drinking the Kool-Aid, and I'm not. I don't get why you are.
But try having just a soupçon of empathy for once.
I know she can be a little crass. I know firsthand, believe me. But this time she's not. She's just being honest, and I need to start taking responsibility for my own shortcomings.
We can still get him a bust, right?
Here's our guy. He goes by The Clap.
No way. He picked the name The Clap.
I got nobody on him yet, too. I think this is our case.
These are the Beam Chronicles with your host, MJ Dooney. Book 1, Initiation, Chapter 6, Charlie Shayde.
The Clap lived in a moderately large city, about 130 miles away from the capital and Beam HQ. Murphy had already managed to set up a little sting for him, not 10 minutes after our meeting in Howie's office wrapped up. The Clap wanted an armored truck, so we got him one, and aimed to park it out front of the bank closest to his apartment. Only it was empty, and we replaced the drivers with equalizers in training, told them to scatter the second they saw him in sham fear. Once he had the truck, JT and I would thwart him, confiscate and destroy his dopey clapping thing, and hand him over to the police on actual criminal charges. Grand theft auto, that sort of thing. I don't know, I'm not in law enforcement. That way he'd see actual jail time, since as things stood now, he hadn't technically done anything yet. Was it entrapment? Absolutely. But Beam had a tendency of getting away with that sort of thing. A lot less frequently now than in the days immediately following Tanaka, at least from what I remember. I was 7. But still, I'd always snicker to myself when Prophet got on his high horse about anomalies having no accountability for their actions when they worked under code names and wore masks, because the only accountability he had for Beam's actions was throwing it up to scare tactics, insisting it was for safety, and under that mask, he did whatever the hell he wanted, but whatever. Anyway, the Clap bust was ready to go. The only thing we were waiting on was JT and I physically getting into the city. You'd be surprised how annoying it was to be able to move as fast as I could when nobody else came close. I could have made the trip down there in 1/100th of a second, probably less. But it'd take Jaxon an hour or two, so I had to give him a head start. Kind of defeated the purpose of my speed, waiting for as long as it took him to get there anyway, but it gave me a good chance to eat something, catch up on paperwork, that sort of thing. Except I had barely got to my apartment and sat down when my earpiece started going off. Jaxon had just gotten his that day, so I wasn't sure if he was just accidentally paging me. Nonetheless, I flicked it on. What's up, JT? You lost?
No. Well, maybe. Actually, I think I'm here.
I incredulously glanced to the clock. 10 minutes had passed since he took off. He couldn't have gotten there that quickly. Hold on a sec. Don't move around for a bit. I grouped away to the rooftop we were set to meet up on, and sure enough, there he was. Well, shit, so you are. Hold still. I'll be back in a sec. Gotta get my stuff. I grouped back to my place, shoveled a few extra spoonfuls into my mouth, and then grouped into my bedroom and grabbed my trench coat and Guillermo. It wasn't often that I grouped around my own apartment, but it also wasn't often that people were stuck waiting for me. How the hell did he get there so quickly? I popped back in beside him, standing on that rooftop adjacent to the street we'd set up for the sting, and took a good look at him, the absolute nerd. I told him he was fine to wear street clothes, yet here he was in the standard uniform navy blue jacket, Beam logo on the back, even carrying the Equalizer tactical backpack, which nobody actually used. Guess I should have expected nothing less of him than to follow the etiquette to the letter. He was probably too nervous not to. Hey, buddy, sorry about that. You made killer time. He blushed and scratched the back of his neck.
Yeah, I tried something new. See, I've always felt like I could move faster, but between debris and wind friction, it hurt too much. Plus, lower air pressure made it tough to go up high enough that I wouldn't hit something. But then I thought, hey, planes do it right, so I grabbed this little bubble of air around me and I kept the pressure the same and I held it in place to deflect all the stuff that I flew through. Then I just pushed myself to go as fast as I could.
Very clever. I'm impressed. 10 minutes, 130 miles. That's Mach 1. A little faster, right?
I guess so.
Sonic boom. I punched his arm. Did you make one? I would have gone out to see if I knew you were trying.
I guess I must have.
He shrugged, smiling slightly. Definitely call me when you close in on light speed. We'll have a race. He just snorted and blushed a bit, averting his gaze. I bailed him out of his bashful, awkward silence. He took me by total surprise. I didn't expect you to get here for another hour or so.
Well, I'm attempting this new thing where I actually push myself to do better. You mentioned the other day that might be a good idea.
Right. I grumbled, clearing my throat. Look, JT, before I forget or change my mind, I wanted to thank you for sticking up for me today in Howie's office. People tend to assume the worst of me, especially Prophet. I guess I haven't given them much reason to be optimistic, but anyway, it was a cool move having my back like that, especially when you were pissed at me. He scoffed.
I wasn't pissed at you. I was worried you were still pissed at me.
Nah, that sort of thing kind of comes and goes with me.
Charlie, how could I be mad? Everything you said to me was true, you know? You're kind of a jerk about it, but whatever, you were right. I have been loafing around, trying to skate by. I'm just glad I got the opportunity to show you I do have some sort of mature responsibility in me somewhere, even if it takes the whole shouting match to pull it out.
Hey, look, man, while we're admitting mistakes here, you were right about some stuff too, like when you said I was trying to get rid of you, when you asked to be my workout buddy, I pretty much was. And hey, I get it's hard to talk to someone about an insecurity like that. You're kind of like a little melodramatic bitch for saying it out loud, but I do feel bad about slamming the door on your face. He smiled, stuffed his hands into his pockets.
It's fine, I understand.
Maybe you do, but in the interest of keeping the score even between us, I'm going to tell you a little story about my deficiencies, and then we're going to shut up and not talk about it and move on with our lives. Understand? He nodded. I took a deep breath. Never before had I said what I was about to say out loud. Honestly, I tried not to even think about it. I'd be intentionally withholding some key details, even considering that it felt weird. But I really just wanted to put all of this behind us. My grouping first manifested 2 years ago, when I was 17. Before that, I was a regular, run-of-the-mill 17-year-old girl. I went to high school, I was scared of failing my driver's test, I had a crush on my English teacher, and my parents didn't understand me, and my brothers were annoying, and I made fun of cheerleaders at the pep rallies for being mutants, but deep down I had this subversive desire to be included. I didn't think I was pretty enough, or smart enough, or cool enough. Teenager shit. The whole 9 yards. Then one day I got in a car accident and went into a coma for a week. And when I woke up, my hands were like this. I held up my arms, ungrouped them to the elbows, leaving the swirling, barely visible dust in place. It looked more like a distortion of light, a vague uncertainty in reality than any perceivable form of matter. 2 days later, I met Howie and Murphy. A few weeks later, my brain was taken out. A month after that, I was a full-blown equalizer. I mean, think about the tempo here. Think about how quickly everything unfolded for me. It wasn't like I gradually eased into my abilities. I didn't go through the 12 steps of transitioning from average teenage girl to anomaly-busting powerhouse. I fell asleep, JT, and I woke up a badass. So what if I fall asleep again? I don't know where it all came from. I don't know why me or how it happened. What if one day I snap back into a coma because whoever decided to make me into all of this changed their mind? Or worse, what if I never actually woke up in the first place and then I do and I'm fucking 17 again? That's why I work out so hard, because it's mine. I control it. One of the few things it feels like I still control in my life. I'm piloting that ship. I didn't just fall into it, I worked for it. I grinded it out of myself, take everything else away from me, all the rest away. The grouping, the sixing, at least I'm still gritty and tough. At least I'm still something, instead of the nothing I was before the accident. When I'm working out, I'm not just getting in shape or toning up or trying to shave a nanosecond off my group time. I'm facing my deepest, most private fears. It's therapeutic. It's like meditating or something. So letting you into that, Bringing you into that part of my world, it'd be opening up a part of me I've come to accept as really private and guarded. It's not personal against you or anything, you know? It's just... That's why I was so off-putting about it, I guess. Do you get that? He nodded.
Yeah, I get it. Thank you for telling me this, Charlie. I really appreciate the honesty, but let's just shut up and not talk about it and move on with our lives, okay?
Okay, I smirked. Good answer. I was about to leave it at that, plunge ahead with the mission and call it one hurdle cleared for us, but I decided to add one last thing. Also, what you said about me drinking the Kool-Aid? He sighed, clenched his eyes shut like he was cringing.
Charlie, I really didn't mean...
I'm not drinking it. I cut him off. Nobody is, JT. Nobody does. Not for long, anyway. I think Murphy did, up until pretty recently, and Howie puts on a good show because he's the one serving it. For the rest of us, it's just... It's not dying, you know? Head down, press on, get by. He smiled gloomily.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that technically I'm a prisoner here. Like, I guess I was assuming if I demonstrated how useless I was at fighting, Howie would let me be a secretary or a janitor or something, rather than just equalizing me. Apparently that's not how he operates.
Not in the slightest. I could not adequately indicate with my tone how much of an understatement it was.
So now I'm trying to make the best of it and remind myself I believe in some parts of what BEAM stands for, but yeah, I don't know. I just can't believe the good outweighs the bad. That part's not sinking in.
It won't. Because it doesn't, I assured him. So stop waiting for it. Equalizing is tough stuff, psychologically especially, but trust me, the alternative, refusing Howie, is worse. And hey, I'll cut you a deal. So long as I'm around, I won't make you actually do anybody that I can do for you, at least until you're a half-competent agent. Deal? We shook hands. It was so fleeting, so momentary, neither of us realized that it would grow to become the defining agreement of our companionship. Neither of us realized the impact of that handshake for years. For now, it was just what it took to move us one step forward. I spun the dial on my earpiece to connect me with the field teams and flicked it on. Murphy, game on! We are ready to roll when you are.
Damn, that was quick. I'll send in the order to roll the truck around to you guys. Already checked with traffic control. We have 3-mile blocks on lockdown for us. Should be smooth sailing, except for, hey, Charlie. I didn't want to mention it in front of Howie. You think this might turn into bait?
I considered that too. Don't know how viral those videos were, but hopefully he's obscure enough that it's a non-issue.
What do you mean bait, Murphy?
JT spoke with his earpiece a bit too close to his mouth, so his question was muffled and loud, like a drive-thru operator. I adjusted his comm while Murphy explained.
Well, sometimes certain anomalies have a tendency to draw out other anomalies, to thwart them. It bolsters their reputation, gives them a track record, a little name recognition, the sort of shit these guys are all about, especially the vigilantes. We call these cases bait because the anomaly we're trying to bust acts as bait for a different one, maybe more than one. There are a lot of different factors that could influence whether or not any given case is bait. Usually, if it's a high-profile criminal or vigilante, other anomalies on the opposite side want to be the guy to take them down. Those are the ones we use as bait on purpose. Catch a big fish, hang him out as a lure, find 4 more anomalies that otherwise would have stayed hidden.
Well, what makes this one bait, though?
So, if the anomaly's a joke, kind of like this one, he might be quick and easy pickings. These are usually just a nuisance, though, the bad kind of bait. See, the sort of person who would consider it worth his time to try to stop the clap probably doesn't have that much punch in the first place. But zero tolerance and all, an anom's an anom, gotta follow through on it either way, annoying as it may be. Hopefully this is a clean bust, though.
And it's starting now, I interrupted. Gentlemen, we have the clap. Jaxon fumbled through the backpack he never should have brought with him for the binoculars and peered over the edge of the building to watch the sting unfold.
Dang, you're right. He's coming up the street now. Charlie, you're not even looking. How did you know he was there?
What's 3 + 3? I asked nonchalantly.
6? Oh, right. Duh.
The plane was moving along seamlessly. As the clap approached our armored truck, the agents inside pretended not to notice he was coming until Murphy gave the signal. Then they sprawled into their theatrics, backpedaling away, shouting and pleading as we heard through the comms.
No. Oh, God, no, I know you. You're the Clap. Please don't hurt us. Take the truck. Take whatever you want. Just please let us go.
And they bumbled away down the street.
Riveting performance, gents.
Murphy sardonically mused.
Daytime Emmy worthy.
The voice that was moments ago pleading for his life replied completely level-headedly.
Cut us a break, Murph. Nobody ever said we were actors.
Well, just in case you were getting any ideas, don't quit your day jobs. Charlie, Jaxon, you take the hook?
Yep. Looks like it. He's driving off now, towards us.
JT pulled down his binoculars and stuffed them into the backpack. He stood up, ran his hands through his hair, and exhaled a quick burst to relax his nerves. Then he turned to me, still leaning against the wall with my back to the action.
You ready to go, Charlie?
It's bait.
Huh?
Well, either that or the dude flying down the street just happened to be in the neighborhood. He flew past us as soon as I'd said it, in hot pursuit of our anomaly in his stolen armored truck. I got a half-decent look at him, but the missing pieces I mostly sixed together. 4 arms, 2 pretty obviously mechanical, and a set of big wings strapped onto his back with a leather department store belt. Big, round, stupid, artificial eyes. Your typical low-budget dork trying to emulate his comic books with a fly theme and everything. What was it with anomalies and bugs? First impressions, he was only slightly more impressive than the Clap. He was, after all, flying. Not exactly the sort of anomaly I usually spent time on, but whatever. We weren't here for me anyway.
What do we do?
JT's calm suddenly was shattered by the Fly's abrupt entrance. Same as before. We're here for the Clap, so we're gonna get the Clap. But let this guy soften him up a bit first. Why do the heavy lifting, right? I patted him on the back as we watched the show. The Fly landed on top of the moving truck and immediately fell backwards. He would have slid off the back, had the mechanical arms not snatched onto the sides. When he was sure of his balance, he pushed himself onto his feet, reached down to his waist. Jesus Christ, he has a utility belt. I facepalmed and shook my head. This guy has a utility belt. We have defined a new low in Poser. From his, I can't believe I'm saying this, utility belt, he produced a handful of tacks. I could six from up here that half the tacks were digging into his hand, which is why it's probably a bad idea to have a pocket full of tacks in the first place. Nonetheless, he barreled through that excruciating and incessant poking and tossed the tacks in front of the truck. Idiot number 2, behind the wheel, drove right over them. His tires popped. The car skidded to a halt and the door flung open. The Clap hopped out of the truck, looked around a bit until the Fly addressed him from the roof. He was standing right on the edge, all 4 hands, no bullshit, on his hips and waist, puffing out his chest like he was posing for Vigilante Dork Monthly, and trust me, he would have made the cover. Ostensibly bored with whatever valiant manifesto his opponent was spewing out above him, or hey, more likely unable to understand a word he was saying, the Clap decided to deploy his eponymous gizmo. And it was plenty loud, the Clap's clap, but plenty harmless too. To everyone except the Fly, at least, who was so startled by the sudden noise, he slipped and fell off the truck flat on his face. Oh, Murphy, this is painful. I chuckled into my earpiece. We shouldn't even be showing him this. It's not nearly representative of what we do.
Charlie, you obviously haven't been on any entry-level missions. Hey, 0 tolerance, right? All anomalies are created equal.
Yeah, but I feel bad for them, man. They're like toddlers, only stupider. They're like 2 blind squirrels wrestling over a rock that they think is an acorn.
Is that a gun?
JT asked. Oh, hey Murphy, the Clap's got a gun.
So what?
That makes him potency rating 2 now, right? Oh damn, we may need some backup.
Blow me, Shayde.
I wonder if he has leadership ability. Or what was it, spunk?
Go fuck yourself.
Murphy grumbled.
Charlie, he's gonna shoot him. We have to do something.
JT's urgency was needlessly high, starkly in contrast to my glib dismissiveness. Dear Lord, he didn't even load it yet. He brought an unloaded gun with him to rob a bank truck? What, did he think they were just gonna give him a few minutes to open it up and... Before I could finish, JT had grabbed his backpack and dove off the building, flying toward the clown show just as the Clap aimed his now loaded gun at the Fly. In one fluid motion, no hands or nothing, he flipped onto his back in midair and delivered a firm kick right into the Clap's throat, knocking him to the ground. I grouped beside him. Sweet kick. A little over anxious, a bit dramatic, all guns blazing, kung fu movie diving off the rooftop, but yeah, whatever feels good. Nice work, JT. He sneered at me contemptuously for not leaping to action myself, and I feigned blissful unawareness. I skipped over to the clap, yanked his clapper off his hand, and ungripped it into dust on the spot. Boom. Mission accomplished. The fly, now over the shock of almost being shot, returned to his dopey pose and spoke with a practiced tenor.
Thank you, fellow crime fighters. For a moment I thought this dastardly fiend would be my undoing. Had you arrived a moment later, it could have spelled the end for me.
Yeah, so about him? I ignored the dingus and focused the question to JT. It was only then the fly noticed Jaxon's dark blue jacket, which I had explicitly told him not to wear, and then the BEAM logo on the back. The color drained from his face, he began trembling slightly and looked to me as if he were about to say something, but after opening and closing his mouth like a guppy, he took to the skies and bolted.
Charlie, he's getting away.
Relax. Look in your bag. There's a little circular doohickey, maybe an inch in diameter, got a little black button on the back of it. Now, come on, don't be lame. Do it with your brain. And he did, all telekinetically, fiddled through the bag, found the device I was talking about, and held it before my face, rotating it slowly. That's the one. Now, push the button and toss it onto his shoe. The bottom's sticky. Hurry, though. He spun it around his head once, and then dashed it off down the street after the fly. JT glared it down the whole way, sweating a little bit, trying to stick this tiny disc precisely where he wanted it.
I think I got it. Did I get it? Can you six if it's on him?
Pretty sure it's on him. Nice work. I pulled the tablet out of Jackson's bag and started punching in logistical stuff, since we'd wrapped up so quickly. Calling for the cops to take the clap away, filing my report on the mission, stuff like that. Jaxon, meanwhile, had crouched onto the ground and covered his ears, breathing audibly through gritted teeth, apparently anticipating some sort of explosion. It took me a second to deduce why, and when it dawned on me, I snickered aloud. It's not a bomb, JT, it's a GPS tracker.
Oh, cool.
He sheepishly chortled, getting back to his feet.
That's a relief. I thought I was going to... Well, anyway, are we gonna go get him now?
Well, not you and I, no. I'll mention in my report, scouting, and then evals will follow through. We can't just go get him before we know anything about him, that's dangerous. What if he's got better equipment at home? What if somebody else is baiting us with him?
Won't someone figure that out eventually anyway?
Yeah, I just told you, evals, not us. That's why all the desperate psychopaths work in that department. The pay is great, but the mortality rate.
So we don't do anything with him. We don't chase him. Nothing.
I knocked the toe of my boot against the clap's cranium a few times as he remained on the floor, gasping for air and clutching his neck, just to remind Jaxon why we were here. When it seemed like he wasn't catching on, I added, "This one's the mission. Not that one. Fuck that one."
Let me get this straight. No matter what, we ignore the fly.
Correct.
Because before, when the clap was gonna shoot him, and you were just sitting up there laughing and not doing anything, so we just let him die if he's going to die. Then, when he bolts, we tag him and we ignore it. It's Eval's problem, not ours. Is that how it works? Am I missing anything?
Basically, you got the gist. We just discount him no matter what. It's not our bust. If he died, that would be sad, sure, but I guess it's one less than I'm to worry about. It was clear by his frown he did not appreciate my macabre attempt at gallows humor.
Howie told me that if BEAM can contain or depower an anomaly, that's what we do. We don't equalize them unless we have to.
Yeah, that sounds right. Dude, I told you, I wasn't going to kill the fly. I just don't have to jump in the middle of it if he's an idiot and gets shot.
Is there a difference?
I mean, yes. Isn't there an obvious difference between me killing someone and seeing someone else kill them?
But if you could stop it. Look, to me, if our goal is to protect people from anomalies, we should be protecting everyone from anomalies. That includes other anomalies.
Whoa. Protect people. I dropped the tablet I was working on back into the bag, giving this conversation my full attention as he'd now commanded it with his doe-eyed idiocy. There's no protect people. Who the fuck ever said anything about protecting people? We're not the army. We're not the police. We're not defending the defenseless.
Yeah, but...
But nothing. That's the end of it. Stop. Seriously. It's important you grasp all this, JT, because Howie hates it. When agents try to blur the lines on their roles or beamed role in general, we're equalizers. We equalize anomalies. This is the one they gave us. This is the one we get. The end. If some dumbass wants to step in and get shot in the process, hell beats up the charges against the guy we're busting.
It just seems obvious to me we should be doing the opposite. Help him against the clap and then catch him for being an anomaly, not just nothing, no matter what. Say it wasn't the fly there. It was just some person, some helpless, innocent person, and the clap had a gun to his head.
I shrugged. Not really our jurisdiction.
That's garbage.
You don't get to decide that, Teak.
Charlie, I just...
Look, man, honestly, I guess if some jackass I'm already supposed to be busting has a little girl at gunpoint, I'd probably step in and help her before he actually did anything.
Probably?
His holier-than-thou indignance and moral superiority was irking me, but I kept my ire in check in order to hammer home the message. Yeah, I guess. The point is I don't have to. Why waste time saving the fly when he's just gonna end up in the dungeons or prison soon enough anyway?
Because watching him die when we can prevent it is just... wrong.
There. I extended my finger toward his face. That shit is where you're gonna get yourself in trouble. It's not your job to decide right and wrong. Howie points, says equalize, we equalize, the rest is semantics.
This is unbelievable. This is horseshit.
I groaned, palming my forehead. JT, look, honestly, I don't like it any more than you do, but that's the whole thing. I told you to stop looking for the sanity. What happened to 20 minutes ago when I said stop questioning the system and just deal? Remember all that? Get by, play by the rules, press on? Head down.
Yeah, well, it's just not that easy for me to take my
head
moral...
down, head down. I shoved him to the ground just in time for the bullet to graze the top of his head and ungrouped myself well before it touched me. When I regrouped, I was on the other side of Jaxon. Guillermo aimed promptly at the clap, the idiot who had regained composure to fire a shot at us. First, I ungrouped his gun, and he squealed like a pig as his weapon disappeared in his hand. Easy, jackass. Hasn't anyone ever told you the clap isn't fatal? He spat in my face. Wow. You're a whole new kind of stupid. Guillermo spat in his face right back.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Beam Chronicles, a fiction podcast written and produced by me, MJ Dooney. I'm really having so much fun sharing this story I've been working on for 15 years, and that's why I'm doing it. That said, I would greatly appreciate it if you could leave me a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're hearing this, and also follow algorithms and all that. Also, if you like what you hear or want to get updates, you can follow me on Twitter at Beam Chronicles or TikTok, same handle. I've also been posting episodes to YouTube if you want to like, follow, subscribe there. I still have no idea what to do with Instagram, but follow me there too, I guess. If you want to give me some encouragement or ask me a question directly, you can contact me through email, beamchronicles@gmail.com. All music and sound effects were sourced through the Epidemic Sound Library. Special thanks to Sergio Duarte for creating the cover art for this podcast. You can find him on Instagram. I've actually been sticking to a weekly schedule pretty well, but I might cut back to monthly pretty soon. Thanks again for listening.